So we're going to make this quick between Bernie Sanders, the incumbent senator, one of the incumbent senators from the state of Vermont, of course, against conservative talk show host Ben Shapiro. So this one was hotly suggested. I have done a video about this before, but now we're going to see how the electoral map has changed. So first of all, we're going to do this in the poll closing format, meaning we'll start off with 7 to 7:30 to 8 and continue on until the election is full. We're not going to completely show toss-up states. We're going to talk about certain states that are going to be contested, but I'm never going to, in this type of scenario, we're not going to fill these in as like toss-up states or not fill them in for a respective party as the poll closings happen. So first of all, Shapiro would carry all the typical Republican states that close at this time. I do not see Shapiro at all carrying the state of Virginia. I really see that one holding its Democratic identity and staying with Bernie Sanders. West Virginia, North Carolina, I see going to Ben Shapiro, and I also think Ben Shapiro could narrowly edge out the state of Ohio, effectively putting him at 82 electoral votes. And now we're at the 8 p.m. calls. So Tennessee, Alabama, Mississippi, Missouri, and Oklahoma easily go to Ben Shapiro. Typical Republican states. He's not going to run. He really, can't. But in the election right now, we have a point where Ben Shapiro probably won't be positively viewed by the country, but he'll be like Donald Trump, meaning he has a possibility of winning. It doesn't mean he's going to win, clearly, but it is very likely that he will run in the future. Actually, I'm pretty sure he can run in 2020. It'll just be narrowly edging off that mark of 35 years old, but he's not going to. Just keep that in mind. But when we're talking about this eventual scenario, this would be the 2020 election, but Ben Shapiro is probably not going to win in a year like 2024, especially with the whole immigration thing. So we're talking about a 2020 election. And, he's not a better candidate than Bernie Sanders. I just think that he definitely corrals a number of young voters compared to how other Republicans would do. But although he does hold on to that conservative identity, hold on to the conservative base, it may not be enough to win in this election. So we're going to talk more about that after we get to the swing states. So New Hampshire, I easily see going for Bernie Sanders, and all of Maine as well. Coming from a state like Vermont, being able to appeal to the Northeast much better than any other Democratic candidate. Probably easy how you could see it would go to Bernie Sanders. I think Bernie Sanders would carry Pennsylvania. It's pretty simple enough. I mean, he definitely appeals to the white working class better than Ben Shapiro. And when it comes to talking about presidential debates, sure, Ben Shapiro will do well, but it won't be enough to win in a state like Pennsylvania. Bush couldn't do it. McCain couldn't do it. Romney couldn't do it. This has been Democratic territory. Trump was the only one who did it, and Ben Shapiro is no Donald Trump. 8:30 goes, Arkansas goes to Ben Shapiro pretty clearly. Up across the United States, except for that one electoral vote, I see Bernie Sanders carrying that 2nd district from Nebraska against almost every Republican. His appeal to the Midwest is much better than any Democrats, and it's very easy to see how he could win in Nebraska's 2nd district. New Mexico goes to Sanders, even though Ben Shapiro believes in legalization of weed. Colorado, that's not their only issue, and they have a very progressive population there. New York goes to Bernie Sanders. And when we're looking at this map, Ben Shapiro probably won't do so well when it comes to the Rust Belt, so the Rust Belt goes to Bernie Sanders. Florida, on the other hand, that's the only one I'm actually going to leave as a pure toss-up. We're going to come back to that one. Probably won't affect the outcome of this election, but pure toss-up there. And then the 10 p.m. rolls around. Montana, Utah easily goes to Ben Shapiro. I think Bernie Sanders could carry Iowa. That's one that we're going to talk about for a little bit. Iowa, Midwestern voters, rural voters definitely see going to Bernie Sanders. He much better appeals to them than Hillary Clinton could. And Donald Trump was pretty much one of the few Republicans who could actually win back these voters from the Democratic Party, deregister them. And Ben Shapiro probably won't do that. He holds on to the conservative base, but keep in mind Iowa was a land full of Democrats until Donald Trump, along with the rest of the Rust Belt. They don't have conservative ideals. They just really care about their jobs, how their wages look, and whether or not they're cared about compared to like urban cities. Iowa does not represent an urban city when it comes to that. When we talk about a state like New York, you picture New York City. When you talk about Iowa, you picture like farms, things like that, something that a part of the Midwest. A lot of people in these states worry about whether or not the candidates care about them, and Bernie Sanders really relays that message really well. In Nevada, I also see Bernie Sanders carrying that state pretty easily, but Shapiro would carry Idaho. He wouldn't carry Washington or Oregon for obvious reasons, and Hawaii easily goes to Bernie Sanders, and now this one puts him over the top. California goes to Bernie Sanders. Alaska goes to Ben Shapiro very narrowly. No, sorry, not very narrowly. It goes to him by a wide margin, but Florida I see going to Bernie Sanders very narrowly. This one will be super close, but I think Bernie Sanders will narrowly win over the state by a small margin. So final electoral map, 315 electoral votes for Bernie Sanders, 223 for Ben Shapiro. Thank you guys for watching this video, and I'll see you all tomorrow.